Hello, my lovely viewers. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kimberly and I speak about spiritual things. Today, I want to speak about the law of attraction and how it worked for me. How I manifested moving to Paris, working in real high fashion, and meeting Karl Lagerfeld and rubbing shoulders with many high profile celebrities and fashion people. There are 3 things that I did that helped me manifest all of these things. And I will give you examples of how I did it throughout my journey. So the first thing is that you have to make a decision as to what it is that you want. And the more clear, the better. For me, it was fashion. Now, the mistake that I made was that I wasn't clear enough about how I wanted fashion to be present in my life. I just saw fashion magazines and I was mesmerized by them, and I just decided to consume fashion things. And that actually, from this thought, this thought that, oh wow, fashion is cool, I decided to fuel that thought by reading about fashion, watching the fashion television. So that created an emotion. It inspired me. And the emotions create beliefs. So I created that belief that I wanted to work or wanted to be in fashion, or that I belonged in fashion. I wasn't clear enough about how I wanted fashion to be present in my life, and this is partly because I didn't believe that it was actually something that I could attain. I wanted to go to fashion school, but I allowed the 3D world to dissuade me from going to fashion school because I saw how expensive it was. I didn't know anybody that worked in fashion or that did anything in fashion. When I looked at the schools in Canada, I thought they looked really lame. and so I quickly just gave up on that and I went to business school. I thought maybe after business school I'll go to fashion school, but that was not the case. However, I still maintained the idea that I'm a fashion girl. This is very unfortunate because I have now lived a lot of my life in a lot of frustration because I'm not doing exactly what I want to do. Through the power of the law of attraction and how the universe works, I did manifest working at a real fashion job. This whole journey has been really eye-opening. This is why I want to speak to you today. Law of attraction is very real indeed. The 3 elements that you need in order to manifest your reality. The first one was you need to make a decision as to what it is that you want to attract into your life. You feed this thought and create an emotion that then gets into your subconscious mind, because if it's something that you truly believe in, it will be easier for you to just it'll just stay in your subconscious as opposed to something that is not really what you want, right? The second thing is that you need to take action. So now that you have created this belief in your subconscious, you will actually begin to make decisions that are aligned with that belief without you even knowing it. So for example, I was too afraid to go directly to Europe, but I knew that I needed to leave the comfort of my home in Canada. And so I decided to teach English in South Korea. I had to take a course on how to teach English, and at this course I met this girl who actually was Canadian, but she lived in Budapest. And so through her, I realized that, okay, it is possible to live in Europe. Someone else is doing it, and I want to become friends with this girl. And so I became friends with her. We stayed in contact. She was in Budapest, I was in South Korea. And then she decided to move to Paris, and so that was my in. So once I was in Paris, so I made action, right? I left Canada, which just, led me to moving to Paris. And once I was in Paris, I felt so grateful and so aligned that I was actually where I always wanted to be, in around, the industry I always wanted to be around. So therefore now it was like everything was just going to kind of work out, and I wasn't stressed. I wasn't, frustrated. I wasn't thinking like, how am I going to, get up to like working in real fashion. That was not something that I was stressing about at all. I just took the opportunities that were given to me. So I started working in retail, and then I started selling vintage because I felt fashion was, this is the place for me. I'm a fashion girl. I do fashion things. So while I was selling vintage clothes, I decided, okay, like I need an actual job because this isn't going to work. And so I decided to, I thought, okay, maybe I should work in vintage stores. So I had resumes and I went out to drop resumes, but every time I got close to a vintage store, I felt like, no, it's not gonna work. So I decided that I was going to actually get my next job through a contact. I had no idea how or who, when I barely knew anybody there in Paris. But for some reason, I had this strong belief that my next job was going to come through a contact. So I went back to just, doing my thing with vintage clothes. And then one day I had this idea, this feeling, to text an ex-colleague of mine from the job that I worked at for 2 months, my first job. And then I texted him, and he was like, come to this party, which actually was just across the street. And I told him my situation, and then he was like, don't worry, I'll help you. So a few days later, or the next day, he was like, come here, this girl just quit this job, bring your resume. Voila, I got my next job. This is where I met Karl Lagerfeld. And not just met him, he knew me. we shook hands, we smiled at each other. He asked questions about me, he made comments about me, he touched my wrist, he told me I looked like Meghan Markle, etc. It was actually through that job that I got my next job in high fashion, which is with an emerging designer who actually was elected by Karl Lagerfeld to win the LVMH prize, and that's how she started her clothing brand. So that's how it all worked. And so I guess, yeah, so the first thing we did was we made a decision, right? We fed that thought, we made it into a belief. The second thing we did, we took action, right? And it wasn't like towards the target, but it was just, on the way there. And the third thing that we need to do is to surrender in faith. Once you feel aligned, once you feel like, okay, I've done everything I could to get to where I am, I feel aligned, this is when you need to surrender, to have faith that everything's going to work out. During this period, though, you must maintain a high vibration. You must surround yourself with things that bring joy, that bring you inspiration, that inspire you, that vibrates around the things that you actually want to do, the things that you actually want to manifest. So even though I wasn't working in high fashion, I was still submerged in fashion by just, going to the vintage stores, picking out nice clothes, coming home, taking pictures of it, putting it on Instagram, and people were buying it. And so I was reflecting this high fashion girl. And I was not stressing, I was not frustrated, I wasn't in that energy of this needs to happen, this exact thing needs to happen. No, I just allowed things to flow, to attract to me, and I was grateful for them. And so that is the third thing, is to surrender. So that is how the law of attraction works. Let's summarize. The first thing that you need to do is you need to make a decision. Feed that thought, make it into a belief. Second thing is you need to take action. Whatever your intuition is telling you to do, do it. And the third thing is that you need to surrender. Once you feel, you know that you've done all the action that you could to get to where you want, surrender. Because once you're going to feel aligned, things are going to come your way and you're going to manifest your desires, and always be grateful for it, because you don't know what that opportunity, more opportunities. So I hope that was inspiring. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.